Over the last 5 years, I have tried and tested so many different strategies to manage my money. And I have done that because understanding how to manage your money and actually feel in control of it is one of the most important life skills you can learn. It does not matter if you're making $50,000 a year or $150,000 a year. The number one thing that makes the difference is not how much you earn, it is how you manage what you have. And the real skill of money management is not just about investing and growing wealth. It is about finding the perfect balance between living in the moment and planning for the future. When you find a system that is easy to do and easy to maintain, managing your money stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling like something you actually look forward to. So, in this video, I want to walk you through my 3 step method for managing your money in a way that puts you in complete control of what is coming in and out of your account every single month. I will also give you some of my favorite tips along the way. Let's start with step 1. Step 1 is to define the 3 F words. And before we even get to what those 3 F words are, the very first thing you need to do is figure out exactly how much money you are bringing home each month. Yes, and I mean the actual number that lands in your bank account after tax. If you have multiple income sources, you want to include all of them. Your 9 to 5, any freelance work you do on the side, any investments that are paying out, any other income streams you have running, all of it goes in. So, for example, if you are taking home $3,000 a month from your job, another $200 from a side hustle, and $500 from freelancing, you add all of that up. Your total net income is $3,700, and that is the number we are working from. Now, if you are employed, that number is straightforward. It is whatever hits your account after tax and deductions. But here is one thing worth noting. If you already contribute towards a workplace retirement plan like a 401k, you actually want to add that contribution back in before you set your total. So, if you contribute $200 a month towards your 401k, your working number becomes $3,900, not $3,700. The reason is that your retirement contribution is going to sit in its own category, the future you bucket, which I will get to in a moment. And if you are self employed or freelancing, make sure you are working from your after tax number. The last thing you want is to build your whole money management system on income that partly belongs to the IRS. Once you have that total income figure confirmed, you can define the 3 F words: the fundamental bucket, the fund bucket, and the future you bucket. The fundamental bucket is everything essential: the non negotiables, housing, your rent or your mortgage, utilities, electricity, gas, water, transportation, groceries, insurance, minimum debt payments. These are the things that keep your life running regardless of anything else. The fun bucket is everything that makes life enjoyable: your social life, eating out, subscriptions, self care, travel, entertainment, clothing. These are the things that are optional at their core, but they are also what makes life worth living. They belong in the picture, just in proportion. And the future you bucket is everything you're putting aside for the version of yourself that exists 5, 10, 20 years from now. Investments, retirement contributions, savings funds, building your emergency fund. This is you paying yourself first. Now, there is a well known budgeting guideline called the 50-30-20 rule. It suggests 50% of your net income goes to fundamentals, 30% to fun, and 20% to future you. And that is a reasonable starting framework. But I want to be honest with you about something. This rule was introduced in 2005. The economic landscape has changed significantly since then. Inflation, rising housing costs, student loan debt, healthcare, all of these have eaten into people's disposable income in ways that the original framework did not account for. So use it as a starting point, not a rigid law. Adjust those percentages based on your actual circumstances. What matters is that you have a framework at all, because most people do not. So, step 1 is simply this: know your total net income and decide what percentage you want to direct towards each of the 3 buckets. Step 2 is to fill in the detail. This is where you go through your bank statements, your debit card, your credit card, any payment apps you use, and you assign every expense to one of the three categories. For fundamentals, go through line by line: rent or mortgage, utilities, phone bill, groceries, car payment, or transport costs, insurance premiums, minimum loan or credit card repayments. Any expense that is a true non negotiable goes here. If your app already categorizes your spending automatically, even better. You can often pull a total for each category without having to go line by line. One strong recommendation here: automate everything in this bucket. Set up direct debits for every single bill so that they go out automatically on or just after payday. The more friction you remove from managing your essential expenses, the easier the whole system becomes to maintain. You do not want to be manually logging into accounts and transferring money every month. That creates unnecessary stress and things fall through the cracks. Automate it and forget it. Now, when you tally up your fundamentals, you want to check that total against your net income. The guideline is to keep it below 50%, ideally closer to 40% if you can manage it. If you find your fundamentals are eating more than half your income, that is important information. Go through each line and ask whether there is a cheaper alternative. Could you reduce your phone plan? Could you rent out a spare room? Could you cut a subscription you barely use? Small reductions across multiple lines add up quickly. For the fun bucket, again, go through your statements and pull out everything that falls into the enjoyable but optional category: dining out, coffee, streaming services, gym membership, clothes shopping, nights out, holidays. This is where most people either dramatically underestimate what they spend or avoid looking entirely. Be honest with yourself here. There is no judgment in the numbers. The numbers are just information, and information is what gives you control. What I find really useful is to also think about the upgrade decisions you make in this category. If you are buying a premium brand instead of a standard one, if you are paying for a nice gym instead of working out at home, if you are upgrading your phone when the current one works fine, those are fund bucket decisions. Not wrong decisions necessarily, but they belong in the right column so you can see the full picture clearly. The future you bucket is where I want to spend a moment because this is the one most people underfund without realizing it. This is your investments, your retirement contributions, your savings funds. And the single most important thing I can tell you about this category is this: automate it. Set up an automatic transfer from your main account to a separate savings or investment account on the same day you get paid. Not at the end of the month when you see what is left over on payday, before you have had a chance to spend it. When you pay yourself first, the system works. When you wait to see what is left, the system almost never works because life fills the gap. If you are saving towards specific goals, a house deposit, a car, a trip, I would strongly recommend having a separate account for each goal. Label them clearly. When you can log in and see your house fund sitting at $8,400 and your car fund at $2,100, that is far more motivating than one generic savings pot that just says savings with a number you can barely track. Make the goals visible and separate. Step 3 is the reflections, and this is honestly the step that most people skip, which is exactly why most people never feel like their finances are actually improving. There is no point building a system if you never look at how it is working. At the end of each month, set aside 20 or 30 minutes to go back through everything. Here are the questions I use. Did I stay within my target for each of the 3 buckets? If any category went over, why did that happen? Was it a one-off expense or a pattern? If I overspent on fun, is there a way to get the same enjoyment for less? Or do I need to consciously adjust that target? If I underspend on fun, I can redirect that surplus into future me and accelerate my progress. Did I hit my savings and investment targets this month? If not, what got in the way and how do I protect that contribution next month? The other thing I look at is whether any of my percentages need adjusting. Especially in the first few months of using this system, the numbers you set at the beginning might not reflect reality. That is fine. The whole point of the reflection is to calibrate. You are not failing if the percentages shift. You are just learning what your actual life costs and adjusting accordingly. The goal is a system that is accurate and sustainable, not one that looks perfect on a spreadsheet but falls apart in real life. What I can tell you from experience is that the simple act of tracking, even imperfectly, even roughly, changes your relationship with money completely. You stop feeling like money just disappears. You start understanding where it goes. And once you understand where it goes, you can make real decisions about whether that is where you actually want it to go. That is the system. 3 steps. Know your income. Assign every dollar to a bucket. Reflect and adjust monthly. It sounds simple because it is simple, but simple is what works long term. If you want to go deeper on where to put your money and in what order, investing versus emergency fund versus paying down debt, I will be covering that in detail in an upcoming video. Make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss it. I will see you in the next one.